Hello class, and welcome to chapter 10, which is going to be about volume and surface area. We're going to start by looking at the surface area piece and then go into the volume piece. There are going to be a couple sections that I pulled out of chapter 9 that are actually going to be part of this chapter 10 test. So we're going to start with section 9.4d, which is going to be about surface area of rectangular prisms. By the end of the lesson, you'll be able to find the surface area of all rectangular prisms. So surface area is the sum of the areas of a 3D shape. So when we were looking before in chapter 9 at areas, those are just two-dimensional flat shapes. Now we're going to talk about surface area, which is working with three-dimensional shapes. So we're going to start with the rectangular prism, which just means that there's a rectangle on the bottom and the top of the shape, and then rectangles all the way around the side. In order to find the surface area, you're going to use the formula that says 2 times the length times the height. So 2 times the length times the height is going to be looking at this front part and the back part. So that's why we have two of them, because it's talking about the front and the back. The second part, 2 times the length times the width, is looking at the bottom and the top part. So we're trying to get the areas of the bottom and the top. And then the last part, 2 times the height times the width, is looking at this left side and then the right side. So we're adding up all of 6 different parts using the formula, and that's going to give us the total surface area. Surface area meaning the amount, again, on the outside of any given shape. So we're going to go through now and find the surface area of this first rectangular prism. First thing you're going to want to do is label. So this length is going across, and then we've got the width is going front to back. So we've got our width here of 5 feet. And then we've got our height of 4 feet. So in order to find our surface area, we're going to start by saying S is equal to 2 times, and then our first part was going to be the length times the height, so 7 times 4. And then we're adding that to 2 times the length times the width, so 2 times 7 times 5. And then the final piece we need to add is the left and the right. So 2 times the height of 4 times the width of 5. So again, this takes care of the front and the back. This takes care of the top and the bottom. And this part is the left and the right. Then you're going to want to go through and solve each of those pieces. So the first part, 2 times 7 times 4, is going to give us 56, and then plus 2 times 7 times 5, which is 70, and then plus 2 times 4 times 5, which is going to give us 40. And then you're going to want to add those all up together. So 56 plus 70 plus 40 gives you a final surface area of 166. And then we're going to have to label this now. So our label here is feet. And remember, when we're looking at area, area is always squared. So our final answer here, the surface area, is 166 feet squared. Go ahead and try this one on your own. So we have 2 times 4 times 2, because we have our length as the 4 and our height as the 2, and then our width as the 3. And then we've got 2 times 4 times 3 and 2 times 2 times 3, giving us 16 plus 24 plus 12 for a final answer of 52 meters squared. Next, for a word problem, it says a geode, which is a rock, is being sent as a gift. It is packed in a box that measures 7 inches long, 3 inches wide, and 16 inches tall. What is the surface area of the box? So we're going to go through and we're going to say again our surface area. We're going to start with 2 times the length times the height. So 2 times 7 times 16. And then we're going to add on 2 times the length times the width. So 2 times 7 times 3. And then we're going to add on 2 times the height times the width, so 16 times 3. Again, then we're going to need to solve each of those components. So for the first part, we've got 2 times 7 times 16, which is going to give us an answer of 224. Then we've got which is going to be 224. And then we've got plus 2 times 7 times 3, which is going to be 42. And then we've got plus 2 times 16 times 3, which is going to be 96. And then when we add all of those up, we are going to get a grand total of our surface area, which is going to be 362 inches squared. Again, making sure we have that squared. Now, let's say, for example, if there was a lid on the box and we didn't want to count the lid, we could change and go the top and the bottom and change this to a 1. So if you're missing any sides of a box or an item, you can change any of these 2's to a 1. So again, this stood for the front and the back, this stood for the top and the bottom, and this stands for the left and the right. So if you need to take any one of those out, so say that there wasn't a top, you could change this to a 1 to say that there's just a bottom. That didn't apply to this particular problem, but it is something that you can do. Final example here, we have Nadine is going to paint her younger sister's toy chest, including the bottom. So we're going to include all of the pieces here. You don't have to change any of the 2's to a 1. We want you to go ahead and approximate the surface area. So find that surface area value for how much she is going to be painting. Go ahead and try it on your own. So we've got 2 times 38 times 19 for 2 times the length times the height. And then we've got 2 times 38 times 19 for the length times the width. And then we've got 2 times 19 times 19 for the width and the height. We get those values and add them up for a final answer of 3,610 inches squared. If you have questions about this or anything else from the lesson, please feel free to reach out and let me know.